Super excited to be here. Thank you guys for taking this time to be on here today. I am driving today. They put me in charge to host today, and I don't know if you guys know, but when you do these kind of things, you have this sense of responsibility. You feel like, man, I really want to deliver. These people are taking time out of their day, their morning, their business. Some of you on the West Coast, you're just now getting into the groove of things. Others are on lunchtime. But regardless, like you guys are spending your most valuable gift or asset, which is your time with us. So one of the other things that I recognize sometimes is like, we show up, but are we really showing up? And today, one of the things and every time I show up, I do try to ask God to give me, like, tell me what these people need to hear, or please, what message do we need to give? And guys, we're in serious times right now. And I'm so excited, right? We're almost out of 2024. It's been probably one of the most challenging years for some, but best years for others. And I just I want to just recognize that for some of you it has been hard, and for others it's been so good. But regardless, it's coming to an end, and you either have momentum ready to go into the new year, or you're just saying, I'm ready for this year to be over with, right? But it's just a mindset. There's going to be winners in every market. Um, there's going to be people who will struggle in every market. But I think one thing that I've learned throughout my career planning and just growing and how I've had breakthroughs is it's a decision. The winners in a good market and the winners in a bad market made a decision. And today I made a decision that I was going to show up as my true self, where I'm at in my heart. I just came off of an amazing a women's conference, and I am extremely excited to share some really quick little tidbits on that. But I also came off a very strong call with one of my partners who's one of the best industry leading experts, two of them. They're worth over $4 billion already, based on their partnership with Goldman Sachs. They train the best teams all over the country. They personally mentor me. The women's event that I just came off of, all of the ladies who were hosting that are either partners with this individual. And I have a lot of access and resources to seeing things that sometimes I forget to share, or I don't, like I can't express it as good as this speaker did or this person did. So today, because I'm in the driver's seat and Gil, they somehow gave Gil an invitation. He's here, but he's just going to have to also listen as well. Because sometimes we do need to just sit back and listen to someone else. And I selfishly in the past have had access to resources that I can't share with you guys, but this is too good not to share. And when we say unlocking our next potential in our business, there's a couple words that I'm really not a big fan of, like potential or motivation. And they used to be words that I lived by. But now I realize that potential, motivation is so much stronger when you know your purpose. When you know your purpose, motivation and potential become just so like it doesn't really matter at that point because your purpose is driving you. So as we think about 2025 and we're business planning and we're life planning and we're goal setting and we're recognizing our decisions, I think what has to happen is a mindset shift. And I went to an event this weekend, and they were just all high achievers. And the common theme was these high achievers also hit a plateau. How many of you guys will agree that at some point in your life or your business, you've reached a plateau? Your chat will keep me going. Um, High achievers reach a plateau, but the problem is when we decide to stay there. So one of the questions that I want to ask you, and let me know if I'm cutting out. Someone said I was. If I am cutting out, let me know. One of the question was, what are the excuses you're telling yourself that are holding you back from being the best version of yourself? And the other was, when was it that you decided to plateau, to play small? And I'm going to be vulnerable with you guys, and I'm going to say to you guys, for me, when I had to have that visualization, it was, I know exactly where it was. It was October of 2022. We had reached a pinnacle in our career. It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of repetitive like expectations. And I said, this is too big of a world for me to play in. I'd rather play small. And over the last 2 years, I've been operating out of alignment because I chose to dim my light, because I was holding on to motivation, to excitement, to the things that oftentimes are not sustainable in the plan. And it was hard. So if you guys give me permission, I want to share two of my mentors with you who did a fabulous training on Friday on business planning. As you get into your business planning, we're talking about is business planning, getting ready, goal setting, so that you can really finish out 2024 strong and get into 2025 with a mindset that is unstoppable in any market. But there's a differentiator. So if you guys give me permission, and Gil, you can either veto this or not, or play along, because I think you can use this as well. And the other thing is what my Thera coach, I just went on a trip to Greece, and she told me, God told me to tell you, Veronica, to shut up and sometimes let other people talk. So today I'm going to let my partners talk to you and for you. And if you've heard this, great. If you haven't, I think it's really important that we dive deep. It might go a little over. I promise I'm going to give you the slides. It's only going to go over by the 6 minutes that I spoke, but we'll speed through some of the exercises. But play all out for this, because you're going to find value from these $4 billion worth real estate moguls that started off as agents and now are leading the country, on what you can learn a lot from them. And things don't always have to be fun. But when you have the right plan and the right purpose and the right team in your world, you can do a lot of cool shit. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to share my screen. No one's told me no. I think I have permission to do this. Is this yes or yes? All right, perfect. 1 second. Let me know if you can see my screen. And we are going to go all in.
Get this kind of party started. I think this idea of being all in was an evolution of an idea from Jolene, and it kind of came through. It kind of molded into this concept that we want to run with for this year. But I think it's an important phrase. Why do you think, Chris, we chose phrase all in for 2025?
Because that's what's required. At the end of the day, I think we look around the industry and realize that most in this industry do not play all in, and most in this industry end the year wondering what happened. And we know that if all in our organization just played all in, there would be not wondering what happened, but the industry would be looking at us wondering what just happened. Because never before has that organization unified around this war cry, calling it from earlier today, around just being all in. So number one, it's going to be required in the environment that we're in, and the results that we get from playing all in are probably better than any results we've ever received in the past.
Yeah, Brian Gubernick sent me an article from the Wall Street Journal a month ago that said 2024 is ending up being the lowest number of real estate transactions that's happened in since 1995. So if you're getting started and you feel like it's hard, it's hard. If you're winning right now in this market, that's impressive. And what I know is you can't have 3.9 million transactions continue in perpetuity, because for the last 10 or 15 years, we've averaged 5.5 to 6.5 million transactions. So if you think of 2 or 3 years straight of low transaction volume, it means that there's a pent-up demand somewhere between 4 and 5 million sellers that should have sold statistically that haven't. And as the economic climate changes with the Fed dropping rates yesterday, and as the political climate changes, with we're no longer fighting and stressing about elections, now we just have 4 years to just go focus on ourselves. Like, this is an opportunity for us to look up and say, let's find those 5 million people that have been sitting on the sidelines and offer our assistance to help them. Let them know that we are all in on helping them make the right real estate decisions and answering all of their real estate related questions. For us, what I want you all to leave any session with Chris and I with a simple answer. When somebody says, what is Place? You look them in the eye and you say, it's my company. I'm an owner. I'm a stockholder. And when you look at Place as your company, then you
And you guys can disregard this. This is not a place commercial. This is just one little message to us, but we're going to look at the all-in concept, okay?
Literally do play all in. You're all in on place. You're all in on your health. This year, we're all in on our relationships. We're all in on our businesses. We're all in on our personal goals. As much as Chris and I wanted to like go in and help you come up with a business plan today, Jolene and the entire team that worked on business planning gave you all the tools to do that. So we're going to take a little bit of a different approach today as we dive into this kind of call, which I'm considering the launch of 2025. And we're calling this called business planning, but really it's kind of a let's get committed plan and let's play all in plan and let's get going. Anything you want to add to that statement, Chris?
No, just that you probably want to share your screen.
Am I not? Brian, can you see it?
I can see it.
I see it. Yep.
Yeah, I can see it.
Hey, Chris.
Chris, at the top, click on the one that says Ben Kinney's screen.
Chris, let us know when you get it.
Just keep going.
A bit of Google and some research. I'm tan, I'm taller. I'm just ready to have a really, really awesome 2025. The one thing that makes it more likely for you to stick to your goals. Chris and I did a little bit of Google and some research. We read some articles. We did some scientific studies. We just went out and we said, well, what is it that's going to help our organization stick to these promises that they made this last week or this coming week? What is it? Well, write this word down, write motivation down and just kind of jot it on a piece of paper real quick. And here's what we figured out. Here's what we figured out, that if you want to accomplish your goals, this is what Chris and I think.
All right, everybody, let's write down motivation. Play all out with me. Let's go.
How Chris and I think motivation ties into it. Chris, you want to just explain this photograph for me?
I'm going to leave this one up to you. I got the.
Oh, I get to explain that it's bullshit, everybody. Motivation in itself is not going to change the trajectory of your life. It's not going to get you so committed that all of a sudden things change. That isn't what happened when there was an experiment done by scientists where Chris, what do they want to study in this experiment?
Everybody give me a poo-poo sign emoji in the chat. If you're listening, if you're plugged in, let's go. I want to see it. I need to know you're all in on this call.
At the end of the day, they wanted to figure out what actually drives change. It's actually a change experiment, but sort of filtered through this experiment was this conversation of trying to dispelling the belief that, hey, if we are motivated, or if other people are there to motivate us to do something, then we'll do it.
We're all getting close to the holiday season where we bulk up for Santa Claus because we don't want him to feel bad, and then we're going to come up with some goals about our health. One of our health goals might be exercising. So this group of researchers went out to say, what is it that it would take to get people to be more committed to a goal of working out X amount of times? They divided this large study into three groups. Group one is what in research you would call the control group. The control group were simply asked to keep track how frequently they exercised over this period of time. Before they left, each person was asked to read the opening 3 paragraphs of an unrelated novel. This is the control group. Everybody understand group one. All they had to do was keep track of what they were going to do. That was it. Group two. Group two, they were asked to keep track of how often they worked out, but they were also asked to read a pamphlet on the benefits of exercise and how it would reduce the risk of heart disease. And then they were given a speech by somebody that says, if you exercise, you are dramatically less likely to die. Believing that potentially our motivation not to die might drive us to potentially work out more. Group 3, the final group, was the intention group. After being told to track their exercise, just like group 1 and group 2, they also read the motivational pamphlet about, hey, heart disease will be less if you work out. This was done to ensure that group 2 and group 3 were equally motivated, so the motivation wasn't any different. But group 3 was asked to do one additional thing. Chris, what was that?
Group 3 was said, okay, after we get you motivated, we want you to sit down and then design or formulate a plan of when you're going to exercise, where you're going to exercise. It was ultimately setting some intention around that new activity. And so they were asked to use sort of this formula during the next week. I'm going to partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on what day, at what time, and in or at what place. Where is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And what am I going to be doing?
Now I'm going to pause real quick there. For my drivers, my planners, some of you already know where this is going. You know, as we think about our business, when am I going to lead generate? When am I going to work on my health? When am I going to prospect? When am I going to follow up? But please start making notes and play along. And this chat is here for accountability. We really want to see this be interactive as even though it's a webinar, but I want to play all out with this because this is what makes the difference. And there's one other big important part to this that's coming up.
If you can, take a picture of this screen. Because it doesn't have to be exercise, doesn't have to be anything else, but just take a picture of this. During the week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. at Lifetime Fitness, as an example. And Chris, here's what was interesting. What did they find out in the actual results?
The first 2 groups, right? Either motivated or not motivated. So remember, control group 1, they just read a novel. Like there was no motivational speech, there wasn't a pamphlet about why they should do it. 38% of them exercised once a week, which was the goal. Like, can you exercise once a week? The second group that read the pamphlet and was motivated, right? Like we got them motivated to do something. Sadly, 35% of those participants exercised once a week. So without getting distracted about, well, gosh, less people that were motivated did it, because that's just depressing. Let's just call that fairly equal in any group, like 35, 38%. They just showed up fairly equally.
This reminds me a little bit, Chris, when somebody told me that eating bacon would lead to my early death, and I ordered more bacon because I got like this craving for bacon all of a sudden. This is what happened. It actually went down in group 2 just a little bit. Group 3 was the fascinating one, Chris.
Group 3, who had developed a plan, right? Just a simple statement. It was not complicated. They didn't spend a day and a half building out a business plan. Like they spent a few moments deciding what day, what time, and where they were going to exercise for 20 minutes. And 91% of the people that developed the plan were asked to figure out a plan, actually exercise once per week during the time of that study. It was the plan that changed behavior, not motivation that changed the behavior.
My aha in life, and all the money I spent on coaching and training and going to events and reading books and listening to podcasts and being in great rooms and networking with people and having all smart friends except for one, like in all of that, what I figured out, Chris, it's usually the simplest thing that determines success. It's not something expensive. It's not something complicated. It's literally something so simple like this: making a statement, being intentional, committing to something. I want you all to think about that for a second. The summary of what Chris and I found in this research was that what pulls the desire out of us and turns that desire into real world action isn't our level of motivation, aka motivation is bullshit, but rather your plan for implementation. That's what creates action. So if it's not motivation that we're looking for to make sure that 2025 is an amazing year for us and our family and our goals and our retirement and our relationships and all these things, what is it? I found this quote on the interwebs. With a strong purpose and a solid plan, no mountain is too high to climb. Brian, I think that's what the group of people that you have currently signed up for the 29029 are going to figure out. And I think that's what the people that did it last time are going to figure out. And I think that's what everybody that trained and went to the New York Marathon at Place last weekend figured out, that with a purpose and a plan, it's possible. Thoughts, Chris?
Yeah, I think sometimes we look at that study and we thought, oh, okay, great. So it isn't motivation, it's a plan. But there's lots of people with plans. In fact, everyone in this room after this week, or maybe it's next week when you sit down, you will have a plan. But that alone is not enough. Just like motivation didn't do anything, a plan is necessary, but it is not enough. And so the plan has to be connected. It must be connected to this word purpose. And we need to figure out and define then what is purpose. Like, how do we connect this plan to purpose? When I'm executing this plan, how do I tie it back to purpose? When I'm in the middle of that plan, how do I ensure that there is purpose in that activity, in every activity on that plan? Otherwise, no one, not me, not Ben, not you, will do that activity or execute the plan long enough to get the results we want. We're just humans are unwilling to do something without purpose.
Write this down. I need a purpose. I need a plan. If you feel like you're cycling down the toilet, if you feel like you're stuck in this rut, in this gutter, in this ditch, then I want you to dig deep today and think about, what is my purpose for 2025? And then what is my plan? What am I going to actually do about it? It's a weird thing, because for years I was in these classes and people would say, what's your big why? I always felt like an idiot because I never really had one. I never had like a good answer. And some people did, and some people would get emotional about it, and they were really, really tied to it. So I'm not asking what your big why is. You can figure that out on your own. I haven't figured it out. I'll figure it out someday. What I'm asking is, what is the purpose of these commitments that you're going to make for 2025? Winston Churchill said, it's not enough to have lived. We should be determined to live for something. What is it? What is it that we're living for? What is it that we're working so hard for? What is it that we're making these sacrifices for? What is it that we're learning for? What is it? I want us to think of, what are some near-term goals that we can set out to accomplish, many of which you identified in business planning this week or in the coming weeks. What are some near-term? And then later we'll talk about some long-term goals. Find something in your life, everybody write this down. Find something in your life that you would like to change in 2025.
All right, pulse check. This is where we're really going to get deeper on the exercise. I'd love to see some chat, some movement in the chat. There's going to be a little bit of awkward silence when they ask this question, because they really want you to think through some of these questions that you're going to ask yourself for 2025.
The chat for me, and just do me a favor, type into chat, or if you're in a room with a bunch of people, simply go to the person next to you and say, in 2025, I am going to change this. Okay. Now, pick a second thing. What's the second thing I'm going to change in my life? And then pick a third thing. We probably don't need more than three. Let's pick three things that if we changed, it would have massive impacts to all areas of our life. Three things, just three things that you could look up and say, all right, I'm going to make this change. I'm committing to this for 2025 in any area of your life. It's up to you. I don't care. Then we're going to simply ask ourselves this question. Write this down or take a picture. If I change that one thing, Michael Wilson, I changed that one thing, Cindy Allen and Beth Sparks, Sarissa, Deanna, John, Green, Marcy, Denise. I changed that one thing. Who in my life would that affect? So as you think about that change, you change your health, you change your finances, you be more accountable. Who would that affect around you? Write down their names real quick. When you're done writing down their names, I want you to simply then write down, how would that make me feel? I'll put that in one sentence for me. Take a second, type it in the chat or type it on a piece of paper, or tell the people in your room. In 2025, I'm going to change X. And by changing X, it will affect these people in my life. And when that happens, it will make me feel this way. Okay, let's go dark for a second. If it doesn't change,
I'm going to pause real quick because I think a lot of you guys probably are writing and trying to, really connect the mind and the heart. I love that how it'll make you feel. But again, this weekend I was away, also at another event, and it really made me think, what will your life look like in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, if it doesn't change? If you don't make that change. So I know one thing is how it's going to make us feel and the people that we love. But if we don't make a decision to shift out of the mental block that we have that's keeping us from truly living our biggest life for the people that we love, what will our life look like in 2 to 3 to 5 years? And this might be your health. This might be forgiveness. This might be your habits. This might be making a decision to go all in on your business and show up in a way even when you feel uncomfortable. What will happen if you don't do those videos? What will happen if you don't start taking your business serious? This is the kind of thing that we really, really want to make sure we hone in on. And you might not know this today, but I really want you to set the intention maybe this evening to say, I want to make sure that I'm honest with myself. I want to do this for the people I love, but holy shit, what happens if I don't change? What is Gil going to look like in 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, right? What is Veronica? So awkward silence, but let's play all out.
if I continue on this path and these three areas of my life don't change, how is it going to affect those people? How am I going to feel about that? The guy I coached was just so smart and talented and just had the skills, but he kept letting himself down every day. He would show up to work and then he wouldn't do his activities. I spent some time with him. I simply asked him the question, who are the most important people in your life? And he said, well, my spouse and my children. It's awesome. Something that you're super proud of He said, I'm a really good dad. I said, okay, I'll buy that. If you continue to struggle financially, are you being a really good dad? If you can't create opportunities and protect your family and create security and fund retirement and pay for college or just make sure that your kids have the basic necessities, are you really being a good dad? And he started to cry. He said, I never looked at it that way. He wasn't tying his actions to who it negatively or positively affected in his life. I said, do me a favor. I want you to write a letter to your son. I want the letter to say, son, today I was a horrible father. Today I let you down. I disappointed you. I didn't keep my promise. And you could add whatever else you want to that. And then you're going to give me that letter today at the end of the day. And anytime during you don't do what you told me you're going to do, I'm going to mail that to your son. Every day that week, he did exactly what he said he was going to do because he tied it to a purpose. The last question that Chris and I came up with is ask yourself how that would make you feel selfishly, how would you feel if these three things that you wanted to change in your life changed in 2025? You personally, how would you feel about yourself, about the world, about just how would you feel personally? That's as close to a definition of purpose as I can think of. Purpose is about choosing something that you're going to do and asking yourself the question, who in my life is it going to affect and how am I going to feel and how are they going to feel if that happens? Thoughts, Chris?
I think sometimes, Ben, as we go through that process and we ask ourselves, what do we want to change? What will that do? When we get to the how will that affect me? How will that affect someone else? Or what would happen if we didn't do it? If the sense or the feeling or the gut is not strong enough, we're not actually looking to change something important enough to us. So some of us wrote down, well, I want to change my income. And the reality is, if you do or you don't, if nothing really is going to hurt, or you don't feel pain in the change not happening, that means the income itself is not meaningful enough. It's not tied back to the right thing. And that is why we'll get 3, 4, 6 months in and then give up on the goals or the activities because it was not meaningful enough. I think sometimes when we hear the word purpose, and Ben, you said it well, like we don't want you to think about what's your big why or it's my child or the reality is that may be too big and too overwhelming. But if it isn't meaningful, purpose brings meaning to everything that we do. We have to attach a meaning to the activity. It has to mean something to us and it has to mean something to someone else. That is why partnerships are incredible, but that is why relationships are important. And so as you go through the first and the second and the third change that you said would change a lot in your life, and tie it back to the 4 desires that we have as human beings, will that make you more alive? Will that be a meaningful pursuit? Will that give you deeper connection? And will you grow in the change of number 1 and number 2 and number 3? And if we can attach those 4 to other people and ourselves in a positive way with change, but also in a wildly negative way if we do not change, then we will stick to that plan. No one will pull us from that plan. And when we get off for a day or 2 days, or we have a bad week, we will quickly get back on and we will want to get back on. We won't need motivation to get back on because the meaning itself is what's going to drive us to get back on plan.
So I want to pause real quick and I want to share a little story with you guys. Would you guys play with me for a second? Just to kind of mix it up. Can I get participation? Is that a yes? Somebody unmute and say yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah, please.
So
Get it.
what
Yes,
some of you
please.
guys might know, some of you guys might know my, a little bit about me and just kind of some of the things I've done, but like one of my biggest purpose, I would say drivers, was I care for my parents. Like I wanted to retire them early. That was my driving force. Like I was tied to something so profound. Some people say that, but like I made that part of my life mission. Because when you were such a rebel, troublemaking teenager, like I was like on a mission, like, Mom, I want to get the staircase to heaven and get some karma points back. But like that was enough of a driving motivator for me. And we think we start making money and people like want to buy houses and cars and bags, and I've done some of that stuff too. But for me, I had this driving purpose a long time ago that I wanted to retire my parents. That would make me feel like I accomplished something special. Um, and I wanted them to enjoy their golden years. Well, you may know my mom got sick. By the way, today is her last chemotherapy session, God willing. So we're going to be ringing the bell and saying, we're good. But, I bought the house. I bought them the house. I retired them. And that was a big, big driver for me. But then I noticed that once I accomplished that, I kind of just stop having a new, like, what's my next big purpose? So I'm on my own journey of purpose and trying to find things out. But this weekend and last week, I got reinvigorated because the house that I bought my mom, she sold the first one because she wanted to move to a place that was closer to her brothers and sisters. And, we got her where she wanted to be. And we said, okay, we'll help you, whatever. It's a cute little house, not my preference, but whatever, it made her happy. And when she got sick, she had to leave her home to come here. And then my purpose became getting her back to Puerto Rico because that's what she wants. And, getting her the best medical care, getting her healthy, right? And trying to support her in that. Um, and last week, 2 weeks ago, her entire home was flooded and it got damaged and a lot of things that can affect her health happened. And there was something that I said when she has gotten sick. I was like, I would love to remodel my mom's home and surprise her with kind of like, like a brand new makeover. That when she walks in that door, like that is just a gift to her as she comes back to our island. Well, last week I was forced to fix something and I just said, let's just do this. Let's just remodel it. Like, let's remodel it top to bottom, fix it for her because she's getting ready to do her last chemo. Where the heart doctor just cleared her. And my purpose just reactivated to just see, like, I see this through. And whether it works out or not, the remodel will happen. I don't know if she'll be able to live by herself. I don't know if she'll be able to live in that home. I don't know because there's a lot of factors that are beyond my control. But it made me excited again to get attached to something that I'm like, whatever I do, it's not even about the financial. It's like, I'm so driven by saying what that will tie me to. Like, can you just tie yourself to something that you're willing to just say, I'm willing to do whatever it takes? And I didn't have it planned. I was putting it off. I was putting it off until I realized it was right in front of my face. I have the opportunity to make this happen for my mom. And I'm excited. And today's, her last day of chemo, and she just got cleared from the heart doctor. And this whole year was all about her health. And we get to, get her back home within less than a year into her home. And then, I guess what it just reminded me to come back to life and do something tied to something that's meaningful to me. So as you're planning, like, what is that thing that's going to inspire you to keep going? I don't know if it's health wise. I don't know if it's someone. I don't know if it's, something that you're just going to be so proud of that you stuck to it. And in order for me to financially afford to do these things, I got to get back to work. There's some things I got to admit that I've been slacking on because this is putting a hole in my finances because it's unexpected. But I'm excited to go back to work because I know what I'm tied to and the people I can hopefully give hope to. So it's getting me back to getting reinvigorated in probably a very boring industry at times where it's not as sexy. But my purpose and my plan and what I want to accomplish is so sexy that I'm willing to do some of the boring stuff that are tied to this very industry that gives us the ability to do this. So I'll put Ben and then back on, but I hope you guys can think about right now, what is it that's going to drive you in 2025? What purpose are you tied to? Let me know if you like Ben and Chris, or if you want me to go tell them to take a hike.
See if I can make a comment, listening to you now. I know you said the purpose was to buy your mom a house, and then your purpose was to move your mom, and it got me thinking maybe your purpose is not buying your mom a house, but those are just small goals inside one purpose, and your purpose is to make your mother happy or to serve your mother.
Oh yeah, and there's so much like we can go into psychology, NLP, all these other things, right? There's so much to it, but the purpose is truly about what really moves you, what inspires you, what gets you going. And I know that sometimes I've asked people, they're like, I don't even know. And they're just going through the motions, and that's where it becomes autopilot. If it becomes autopilot, guys, it's not it's not going to keep you going. And I think that right now, when there's only 3.8 million homes being sold, next year it's projected 4.4, 4.3. If we get to 4.5, yeah, that's amazing, right? But of that 4.5, who wants it more? Does that make sense? Who's going to go after it? And that's where we have to decide as we go through this business planning strategy and we decide what's going to be our motivator. You need to be tied to something, because if not, it will not work. And I think that's what Ben and them said. Like, we could sit here and go into business planning mode, but do you know why you're doing this? Because of the 4.2 million homes that are going to sell, guess who decided, and guess who's going to win? The people who take the action towards something bigger. Eli, what did you tell me on Friday when we spoke?
Which conversation? That night?
That night, but even before that, you were panicking. Why? Why were you panicking?
Because I had a weekend long of an event that I paid a lot of money for, to spend 1.5 days with somebody I've never met. And it just seemed crazy to me to think that I can pay $750 to spend a week in EXPCon compared to $6,000 to a 2-day weekend. And I just felt like I wasn't, maybe that's what you're getting to, but I didn't feel sure about what I was doing.
But you took a leap of faith.
I did. I still showed up.
You took a leap of
And
faith
it
and you
was
did
worth
something.
every dollar, and I paid 3 times as much for how I completely transformed this weekend.
And what did you tell me was your mission? You know, like you said it, you want to level up for your people. You want to
Yeah.
become a better leader. You're willing to make the investment. You're tying yourself now to something so much deeper from when I met you. Would you have ever thought about spending thousands of dollars to spend 2 days with someone that can help you transform your story?
I would have never done it. I actually did the math. If I was so against it that I did the math, and it was $360 an hour that I was paying somebody I wasn't even sure. I didn't know what to expect. There was no agenda. They didn't give us an agenda before. It was a complete leap of faith. The promise was, I was asked a question, what was my goal? And I said that my goal right now in life is to become a better leader for 3 groups of people: my family, my organization in EXP, and my EXP Puerto Rico teammates. And he said, if you make this investment, if you commit to this, you will come out of this Sunday night as a better leader. And I took a leap of faith. And halfway through it, I was uncertain. And yet I sit here today and I can tell you that yesterday I had a complete breakthrough and a complete transformation. I mean, my posture's better already. I mean, of course, these things you got to work on every day, but it's letting somebody and taking a leap of faith to knowing that there's growth on the other side.
I love that. And I'm so proud of you. And I want to acknowledge you publicly in front of this group, because right now there are leaders here that are looking to unlock. And maybe the decision that they just have to simply make is, I'm ready to show up and I'm not going to let anything get in the way. You know, that fear or perhaps that limited belief that I have is not going to hold me back. And I was, like I said, at an event this weekend on top of the wonderful training that Ben and Chris doing. And I'm going to send you guys a link if you want to go back and see it, and also the PDF, and we'll let them finish up. But William Lamb, if you guys don't follow him, you should. He's really awesome. You know, it's the decision that you make, but decisiveness is one of the most key characteristics of someone that builds a life by design and that finds true joy and happiness in what they are building. They simply make a choice. They decide. And then followed by that, of course, is action. So it's not perfect right now. It doesn't have to feel perfect. You don't have to be perfect at this. But if you simply decide that you are going to make the change and take the action regardless of how it feels, because you know that on the other side of that is a Eli that he's never been unleashed, and what the benefit it will have to the people that you are doing this for. It's magic. It really is. And I know that when we go into these business strategies, and we're going to have some very technical business strategy plans where you can write it down, what are your goals, what's your GCI, that is coming, guys. But like what I think it's important as you prime yourself is like the decision. Decisiveness is a key characteristic of leaders. Another thing that I want you to write down is indecision is a decision. Indecision is a decision. So be careful when you decide to be confused, to allow people to enroll you, to allow people to change your mind, because decisiveness comes with knowing your values, knowing your mission. And another thing that I think you should write down that is very, very important is be flexible. I'm sorry, be stubborn with the vision, but flexible with the details. When you know what you're going towards, right? You're like, nope, I'm not wavering. You're not getting in my way. I'm not letting you distract me. Nope, 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 nope. Now, how you get there may change. You got to be a little bit flexible. You got to pivot a little bit. But as you're deciding to live a life aligned with the vision, the mission, the purpose, just be a little bit flexible in how you get there. Because sometimes it's not going to go exactly how you planned. But it will not deter you from the mission as to where you're supposed to go with this. Does that make sense?
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
May I? I believe that a big part of it is that a lot of us don't see ourselves as leaders. And I can tell you personally, Friday, I didn't see myself as a leader before Friday. I kept hearing it from people. I kept hearing it from Veronica. I kept hearing it from my wife. I kept hearing it from friends, even a couple of people that are here on this call. And I took a chance on this workshop, a 2-day workshop, to try to convince myself or to finally put it to rest whether I am or am not a leader. And I'm sitting there in this room and I'm spending 2.5 days with 8 other people. We got world-class speakers. We got a very well-known coach, huge coach. We have the CEO of a defense company, a defense contractor company that works with the DoD. I'm sitting there with a very well-known woman who also is a motivational speaker. She's been on huge stages, and myself. And to me, I felt like the smallest person in the room because I felt like I didn't belong there. At the end, and I'm getting to a point, what I learned with this is at the end of the workshop yesterday, we were all given a blank piece of paper and everybody was to put down the name of the person they believe in the group that made the most progress, that was the lighthouse of the group. Who was the lighthouse? The one person motivating, the one person who was pushing everybody else, and the one person that had the biggest transformation. And I voted for somebody who I believe truly deserved it. And at the end of the day, when the results came back, I was chosen as the lighthouse in that group. And that was a big moment for me because I never saw myself as this. This is a world-class speaker. This is the CEO of a defense contractor company. This is the owner of a coaching company, huge coaching company. There was an owner, CEO of a national gym that has thousands of members. I mean, and I'm comparing myself, and I'm just a realtor. I'm just Eli. And those people voted. They thought I was the lighthouse. And if you know Rene Rodriguez, and if you follow Rene Rodriguez, and if you don't, please start following him. He was at EXPCon last week or the week before. He's really big on lighthouses, and I'll let him tell that story. But this is really significant for Renee Rodriguez and that group of people. So I'm saying this, and I invite all of you to really dig deep and see the leadership inside you, because we are all leaders. And Veronica's been telling me this for 3 years, and I don't believe it. And my wife's been telling me this for 3 years, and I never believed it. And sometimes it takes our peers, and sometimes it takes a 3-day weekend and a $6,000 investment to see it. But there's leaders inside of us, and we really have to see that. And I see somebody on this call right now that's been crying for a bit, and I'm not gonna say who it is, but I want you to know that I think you're an amazing leader, and I appreciate you, and I hope you see in yourself what I see in you. That's it. I just wanted to share that. Sorry.
Oh, I want to cry too. Like, I'm like, wait. This, I think this format is pretty awesome, and I am grateful for your leadership, Eli, that you are able to jump. You lead me. Like, and when we'll hop on a call, I feel like you're always, I walk away either like I feel like someone had the courage to tell me something because they love me, and that's leadership. And or they're reminding me that I too am a leader, and they want me to become a better leader, and they believe that I have more leadership qualities in me that sometimes I play small. So like, this is such a powerful call right now, because guys, I want this to be a safe space where we can admit like we're ready for more. And in order to go out there and do that, we have to admit and sometimes just have awareness. And sometimes it's just us holding ourselves back by the stories we're telling ourselves. And Eli, you wrote in your thing, you said you're going to tell a different story, right? You're ready to tell a different story as to who Eli is. And this is where this truly becomes special. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership. We are almost at time. Jenny just reminded me that you guys cannot access the place as what do you call it? PDF PowerPoint that I shared with you guys. But what we'll do is we'll download it and we'll have Franny send it to you, because it does have the questions that you need. And I will see if we can get you the recording so you could see the last 20 minutes, or we'll schedule a different call that you guys could jump on and watch the whole thing if you guys would like. But is there anyone else that wants to kind of publicly declare what it is that they're ready to just go after in 2025? And again, Eli's was leadership and ready to be a leadership. Yours might be something completely different. Mine is relationships and my health. I would love to hear from a few others as you're thinking about this, what has already like come up. We'd love to bring you up to the screen and have you share, because we're able to support each other when we know what's important to each other. Who do I bring on stage? If you don't volunteer, I'm just gonna bring you up. How about that? Veronica Weir. Okay, let me pin her, my queen, my friend. I love her so much. Hey,
Can
Veronica.
you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. I'm at homeschool co-op, so I apologize if it's a little loud. I wrote this down last week. Somebody said it, but I wrote it down in all caps. And then, I'm sorry. Yesterday, Eli sent me a really amazing text that I was not expected. And it just confirmed what I wrote a week ago. But no more playing small. There's too much on the line to play small. And I wrote down last week what somebody said, and it says, it's my freaking time. It's my freaking time. There's too many people, especially women, just even like in my local area, that are struggling to move forward, to grow, not just in real estate, because they've been playing small. And I know that there are several women that I have access to, and that also look at me as a leader. And hearing or seeing Eli's words last night that I am a leader just confirmed for me what I've been feeling since I left EXP. So I just want to encourage anybody who's on here that has been playing small because either somebody told you that you weren't good enough, or they made you feel like you weren't good enough, or that you're not the leader or you're not qualified. You're fucking qualified. Just go all in.
Yes, yes, yes. We love you. Thank you for your leadership. I see you playing all out. I'm so excited for you, Veronica. And we're here for it. We are here to support. If you've never done an event, if there's something that you want to do with the women's group, there's so many amazing women here, leaders that are ready to extend a hand, support, and ready to help you with your vision. Um, I'm so grateful for your sharing, not only your vision, but your heart with us. Right? That's powerful, guys. Anyone else that wants to share kind of like where they're at? Like, I'm just ready. All right, as we wrap up, I need one more. One more. Who we got? My voluntold button is about to come on. I know we have leaders here. All right, hold on. Let me get the gallery. If you want, just raise your hand. First person to raise your hand in the... All right, Nicole, I'm going to pick on you.
Pick away.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
All right. So just in response to what she had to say, I have been a leader that hasn't really stepped into that full leadership role. But I'll tell you what, being part of Place and hearing Ben and Chris has just really sparked a complete fire under my ass, to be completely honest. And this last week, I had a conversation with some people who has led to some really, really great conversations about picking up your pen. And that is what I have decided to do for 25. I am the one in control. I am the one who gets to write my story. No one else gets to tell me what my story is. I get to pick up my pen every single day and write my story. And so for me, the three things that I put was I need a better relationship with my husband, because that poor man has taken a back burner for way too long. I have taken control in writing that story on my health. Thank you to Shannon and Alec Cheblak. And I'm taking back my wealth. I lost it, and not just me personally, but the team, that everybody, like when I can succeed in that, everyone gets to succeed. And so for me, 25 is picking up my pen and writing my damn story. No one else gets to do this for me but me.
So good. We love you, girl. Like, thank you. Thank you. And B Major team, we're so proud of you guys. We're so proud of your mission and what you stand for. And we're here to watch your leadership just go to the next level. And just through 2.5, 3 years ago, you were a completely different person than who you are today. So thank you for showing up. We have one more. I think Chris raised his hand, and if you guys don't mind, we'll give Chris an opportunity to come up, share, and then we'll close out. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Hear me?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just declared it. That's what I do. You're right. I shoot for the moon. And anyone who don't support what my crazy dreams are, I just dismiss them. And yeah, just declaring it. That's how I think I became, what I am by declaring it. Just saying, all my mentees, declare you own your neighborhood and do what we need to do to achieve it. It's very easy to do, just declare it. That's the best step to do it. I mean, your speeches and everything is so motivational, a fan. But yeah, I mean, I really don't, you first find your goal and then you surround yourself with people who are there to help you and not pull you back. And that's it. I mean, I don't know, that Veronica, you're amazing. So yeah,
No, Chris, thank you so much for your leadership. I really appreciate you stepping up and sharing. I can feel your energy and your positivity. I'm gonna bring up my friend and my partner for many years, Gail Ramos, who's Mr. Tony Ramos, or Gil Robbins, whichever one you want to call him. If anybody can get anybody excited about life, but right, we also know motivation is not everything. We have a plan, we have an execution, we have a purpose, and he has a very clear mission in life with his family, his vision. I think one of the best examples of prioritizing life and living a life by design and balance. Gil, close us out and let us get ready for this an amazing week.
Yeah, well, first off, thank you, V, for bringing this to light. I think, um, this is an excellent example of your leadership is bringing these things to awareness. Because I got to tell you, my journey and my wife's journey in becoming leaders in our own mind was very difficult. And I want to give you guys a piece that can really unlock you. And it's funny because we just had an argument this morning about what it means to be an alpha male or alpha female. And, we struggled to actually, come up with those characteristics, and you'll see that on our Facebook group. But along the word, I've came across this word. It's a 5-letter word, and it struck me that it was the one thing that was stopping me from achieving any new goals and identifying myself. And I took a lot of pain growing up, thinking that I wasn't loved and I wasn't worthy. And it was the word grace. And the reason why we struggled so much, even when we started to achieve things, is because we weren't willing to give ourselves credit and grace for some of the things that have happened to us in the past, and we were carrying that over to future years that didn't allow ourselves to identify ourselves for our wins. And it's funny, Eli, to hear your story that everyone else identified you as the lighthouse, because I certainly, if I was at that table, I would have voted you in too. You may not have the 2020 vision to see your own greatness, but there is a supernatural part of your life that in your creation that designed it. You just got to let it happen and allow yourself to just stop holding on to anchors of your past and just say, you know what? It's time to really let this thing shine. Let's get this into overdrive and just be everything that we potentially can be, and just squeeze in a little bit more. And understanding that love and life and happiness and health and prosperity all have to have their balance. So thank you, Veronica, for bringing this topic up and keeping me shut up, me quiet through the whole thing, and just making sure that we attend to the important things in life, and they kind of work together. So I appreciate you guys for the Gap Mastermind, your attention, growth, your commitment to growth, action, and production. And I look forward to seeing you guys in our future weeks of prosperity and growth. Take care all.
Thank you.
You're welcome.